Okay, hello and welcome back. So today what I'm going to be teaching is the 6th grade project, which is how to create a flower using oil pastel. So we have been studying the artist, Georgia O'Keeffe. There she is. I have my book right here in case I need it. So I'm using inspiration from Georgia O'Keeffe to create a flower out of oil pastels. So I have my oil pastels right here. Not crayons, oil pastels. They're quite a bit different as we discuss in class. I also have another video, the introduction to oil pastels, and I highly recommend you watch that video before you watch this because this video is more advanced and creating a flower in a full drawing is going to be a lot harder than just creating the oil pastel sphere that I teach you how to draw in the introduction video. It's the dog. So what I'm going to do is I do have a reference photo I'm working from, always reference photo. So I am going to start by sketching it nice and big using what I know about composition. So I'm going to start. I'm sketching very, very lightly, as you can probably see. So the next step I'm going to start doing is working from background to foreground. So the background is what's behind. The foreground is going to be what's in front. So think front. That would be the flower. So I'm going to start with the background. Now, the background in my picture is pretty boring, so I'm actually going to be changing it quite a bit. I am going to be doing blue and green in the background so it almost looks like it's in a field or something. And I'm going to take a little bit of yellow in there too. Okay. So how I'm going to do this with oil pastels, I'm going to be blending. So I'm going to be starting like down here. Now, typically when you draw, it's pretty common to want to use circular motion. So I'm drawing in circular patterns like so. To create some movement and interest, and it's also going to help you with blending. I'm going to take my next color and I'm going to go right on over top. But I'm not going to mix it with all of it. I'm just going to mix it with some of it. I'm going to leave some of that blue by itself. Now I'm starting to push down kind of hard here. So it starts to blend together a little bit better. Some yellow. I don't like that. That's way too bright. So I'm going to take some white and I'm going to tone that down. White is also really, really good for blending. So if you want to get your background smoother, I'd highly recommend taking some white in by itself to help smooth it out. Excuse me for a minute while I go finish the background, and then I will be back to show you how to do the flower. Okay, welcome back. I just finished the background. It took me about an hour to do this, just from this little area. Now, for you as 6th graders, I would probably say an hour and a half to 2 hours. Because of the fact that I've done this a lot longer than you, you can account that it should take you quite a bit longer than it takes me. So if you're finishing this in half an hour, 45 minutes, you can tell you're going way too fast. So I used 7 colors for this background. Now, there's a couple things I did that 6th graders tend to struggle with. So I'm going to point these out right now, then they're going to be super important. Number 1, I used 7 colors, but I didn't just take them all. Like what I've seen 6th graders tend to do is you go over the whole thing with blue. Then you take, for example, the next color, and you go over all of it. And you go over all of it with this color. All of it with this color. And the next thing you know, you have this really thick, brown, not pretty drawing. And you're not happy with it. And I understand why. It's because you've used all these colors, but you've just caked them on top of each other. Oh, they're on a pastel. So it is really important when you're working with pastel that I have, like here, I've only used blue and white. Here, I've used a little bit of green on top. Here, I used dark blues and greens and a little bit of yellow. But there's no light blue over here and there's no dark blue over here. That's how you get that really light, realistic, airy, beautiful background. The other thing I did was I did not leave any white flecks of the paper. There's a couple here, but I would go back and clean those up before it was totally finished. So it's really important with any art material. You don't want to see those little white flecks of the paper showing through. So make sure you go in and you seal all of those in. I did that with a white. Now it's important. This is the third thing I'm going to say that sixth graders, actually all middle school students I see, tend to not do. You are shading like this, or like this, or like this, or all of the above. Never once did my hand move in that pattern on this. My hand moved in one pattern, and it was this. Circular. Small, tiny, little circle motions. Now this seems like it takes forever, but it's really not that bad. And you just kind of learn to deal with it, and that's how you get that really pretty, blended, smoky looking background. If I start going like this, trust me, you'll be able to tell where your strokes are going, and it's going to look choppy and not very nice. So the most important tip I can really give you is only use the motion for the background. Little, tiny circles like this, okay? And you're going to want to practice this before you start your real thing, because it doesn't just come that easily. So the next thing I'm going to teach you is the flower itself. Now, the flower itself, if you can master the technique for the background, the flower itself is really not going to be that hard. Because all it is it would be the same technique really, just a little bit slightly different. You're still going to want to use a lot of colors. And then what you're going to do would be to continue to overlap really, you're just going to want to continue to overlap the colors. I mean, it's going to take me quite a while to do this area. Just this one petal would take me probably 20 minutes if I did it right. So I'm not going to have time to finish it right now. I'll have to show you in another video or something, or in class. But what I really wanted to show you was how to separate the background from the foreground. So I'm going to want to keep that line nice and crisp. You can see where that petal meets the background. That's going to look really beautiful. It's a nice smooth line. Now that I'm onto my petal, I don't have to do that circular motion with my hand. Because the sunflower has more streaky motions, I'm going to keep my hand going back and forth. And I would just keep blending colors all day. Just go in orange, yellows, and browns and just keep blending over top all day long until this whole thing's filled up. But I'm not just going to use one color. I'm going to use this whole handful of 6 colors. And I'm going to use all of them on this one petal. And I would just take my sweet time, no hurry, and really just make this petal come to life and look realistic. So I will see you in class. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching.